Good evening. Thank you for being here with me tonight. We're going to do things just a little bit differently tonight. Through most of this, since the middle of March when I started doing these things online, I haven't really felt too limited by the format change, right? But this is one of those nights when I probably wouldn't plan a Dharma talk at all. I would probably ask you what you needed. And that's the problem with these, is that I can't tell what you need because you can't tell me what you need, right? And so I'm going to give a short Dharma talk when the time comes, just not even anything that I planned. I'm just going to kind of tell you about something that I've been working with. And then I invite you at any point between now and the end of that very brief talk to put in chat any question you have, anything that you'd like me to address, anything you just feel like getting off your chest. So we'll see how that goes. And we'll do the regular service otherwise. So, verse of the case. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Gata Vatana. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. Light the candles, or light the incense. Three bows. The fragrance of this incense invites the awakened mind to be present with us now. The fragrance of this incense fills our room, protects and guards our minds from wrong thinking. The fragrance of this incense unites us With precepts, concentration, and insight, we offer it for all beings. Homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I shall become one with the Buddha. I resolve that I shall each day follow the way of life he laid down for us to walk and awaken to his supreme wisdom. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I shall become one with the Dharma. The gates of Dharma are manifold. I vow to enter them all. The goal of wisdom is ever beyond. I shall attain it. I go to the Sangha for guidance. I shall become one with the Sangha. In the spirit of universal fellowship, and as a member of the Sangha, I pledge myself to strive for the enlightenment of all beings. The Metta Sutta. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward to the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, sitting or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into the world of suffering. Metta prayers. May I be happy and well. May no harm come to me. May I learn compassion. May all my friends, family, and those I love be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those troubled in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those who have hurt me in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those I have hurt in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all my enemies be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all living beings be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. We're going to meditate, but I have to do something first. Excuse me for 1 minute. Where'd they go? What are you chasing? What did you have? Is it that tomato? Are you chasing a tomato? What did you try to get to? All right. Okay. Okay, I wish you could see this. You might have been able to hear me. So Dee Dee, the little dog, uh, has a tomato, a little grape tomato. A friend of mine so funny. A friend of mine gave me some tomatoes from her garden. She grows these little grape tomatoes, and they're really tasty. And apparently, I dropped one earlier when I was making dinner because I saw the dog chasing something around, and he's throwing it and stuff. And I'm like, what the heck is it? And it's this tomato. And I needed to do some of that because he had knocked it. I've got a guitar on a stand over in the corner of my office here. And it had rolled back behind the guitar and he was trying to get to it. I was afraid he's going to knock the guitar into the floor. Anyway, it's very cute. And I feel better. Anyway, I'm sorry for the interruption, but it was something I really needed to take care of because otherwise we're going to have a loud crash probably and maybe a broken guitar. So we're going to meditate. We do the meditation a little bit differently than usual. So I've got a timer on my phone, Insight Timer. Some of you use it, I know. And I have it set for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Now you might wonder why 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And you might know why 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Like I said, I don't know what you need. So if you know the significance of that particular space of time and want to use that in your practice in some way, I'm going to give you that much silence. And you can use that period however you want. So I'll ring the bell to start the meditation, and then I'm going to start the timer. You'll probably hear it. I think it's loud enough that you'll hear the timer start and end. In any case, after it ends, I'll give you some guidance. A meditation that I used with kind of improvised on the spot today when I was asked to guide some colleagues at Stetson with the meditation. So I use this. So as I said, I'm going to ring the bell to start us sitting. Then I'll use the timer for that interval. And then the rest of the, we'll still meditate for 20 minutes. The rest of that 20 minutes we'll use for kindness contemplation. So take a couple of deep breaths and just refocus yourself for a moment. And I'd like for you to think back a little bit to a time when someone did you a kindness. It doesn't have to be a big deal, doesn't have to be the nicest thing anybody ever did for you. Just take a moment and see what comes to mind. The time when someone was kind to you. And once that's come to mind, just remember it. What was it like? And how did you feel when you received this kindness? And now I'd like for you to think of a time that you did a kindness for someone else. And again, you can feel what it felt like to do this kindness and how you felt as a result of doing this kindness for someone else. And if more than one thing comes to mind, that's okay. You can remember a few things that were done for you, a few things you did for others, that's fine. Or just focus on one. How does it feel to be kind? So I want you to think about the people who are on this call with you, who are watching, listening to this meditation. I just checked and there's 10 people. So you don't know who they are. But you know that, like yourself, they'd like to be happy and well. So I want you to do a kindness for the people who are watching with you. I want you to wish them happy and well. May they be happy and well. And I'd like for you to think of someone that you know, someone that you like, and I'd like for you to do that same kindness for them. Wish them happiness. May they be happy and well. Maybe there's somebody you don't like very much. Maybe even somebody you're angry at, or that you just find annoying. I want you to be kind to them. Just extend that wish for their happiness. You don't have to love them. You don't have to like them. You don't have. And then send that same thought to everyone in your community. May everyone be happy and well. Black, white, Buddhist, Christian, Jewish, atheist, whatever. Northerner, southerner, educated, uneducated, living in this town together. May we all be happy and well. And then send that thought to all beings. Whatever beings there are that we share this planet with. So before I ring the bell to end the meditation, just go ahead and take a few deep breaths and be aware of where you are, surroundings. Remember for a moment what it feels like to be kind. So I noticed when I went to see how many people were on the call, so I could tell you during the meditation how many people you were sharing the not on the call on YouTube, how many people you were sharing it with. That it had frozen up, or it froze up while I was looking. So hopefully you're all still with me. I don't see any questions. Wait, maybe there's one. Yeah, I'm going to try to use my phone to look and see. Hopefully you haven't all gotten. When you ordained as a Soto Zen monk, or when I did anyway, I got a lineage chart that basically shows the Buddha and then a bunch of other names and this kind of long squiggly line that connects all the way down to me. And so right before me, there's Ginjo Gallagher, who was the person who ordained me, Sensei Ginjo. And couple of rungs about that. There's a fellow named Bernie Glassman. And Glassman founded the Zen Peacemakers Order. And so I'm going to talk about them a little bit because I've been using something that they do myself. I don't have a real tangible affiliation with them. Glassman passed away a few years ago. And I think the fellow who's kind of the main teacher now, or at least or one of the main teachers, I'm not sure how they're structured, is Fleet Mall. Fleet Mall's done a lot with prison Dharma. And I did a course with him called Path of Freedom, which is a meditation program for inmates, and we did it at the Tomoka Correctional Institution. So spent some time with him, but he wouldn't know me from Adam Southcat if I ran into him on the street. But at any rate, I mentioned this just to qualify the fact that I'm going to talk about this, even though I don't really know what I'm talking about on any official level. Like I'm not an official spokesperson for them or anything like that. So if I get something wrong, it's entirely mine that it's wrong. There's some tenets that they work with that I found really useful right now, and so so that's why I'm going to talk about this, and I'm hoping that maybe you'll find these things useful. And if you want to look into Zen Peacemakers for yourself, you can. So the three tenets are not knowing, bearing witness, and taking action. And the first one, not knowing, is the one that I've been really trying to work with the most. So what does this mean to not know? It doesn't mean to be ignorant. I talked a little bit about the idea of not knowing fairly recently in a Dharma talk that I gave sitting here in this chair, the koan that it comes from, and the idea that not knowing is most intimate. In other words, it's really the point where we can know ourselves is when we stop trying to know everything else, right? So I bring to periods like the one we're in right now, where there's a pandemic and there's riots and there's a lot of animosity that's race-based and things like that. And I bring to that some past experience, which a lot of younger people don't have. And the most useful thing to me right now is to not know, right? To not come to these things burdened by my opinions, my presuppositions, my ideas about shoulds and oughts and musts and all of those things. To not know. And if you can come to a moment like this one and let go of a lot of those things, so you can just kind of see directly what's going on, then you can truly bear witness. You can see what's happening. And when you can bear witness, when you can see what's happening that way, without all these presuppositions and everything, then maybe the action you take can be more fruitful. Like I said, I'm working with this, and the main thing I'm working with right now is the not knowing, because I find for myself that as soon as I see something, I very quickly start to remember what it was like when I saw something similar to this in 1970, or 71 or something like that, and I start trying to find parallels between this and that, and that's not particularly helpful. I think that we need to, we do need to learn from history. And in fact, I think having sort of a more of a cultural memory of these things might be helpful. But when it comes to the appropriate response for the moment. I think it's more useful to not know. And I'm looking at things like, how do I help college students, for example, process what's going on? I think it would be completely unhelpful for me to tell them how much I already know about this. Because the reality is that we don't know. This is all new. It's old and it's new, right? So I know that's just gibberish, but if you think about it a little bit, once you start thinking you know what's going on, then you start limiting what your options are, right? When you can shift back and forth between what I remember, what's worked in the past, what's led to the harm in the past, and what's going on right now, and trying to see that with fresh eyes, then I think you can really, really get somewhere. Then the next question becomes, how do I take action? That's very interesting in this particular time. And everybody, I think everybody should have a different answer for themselves. I don't think, that there's one answer to that question. I think everyone is going to should take action based on what is important to them. I think we should be guided by our highest values. And so, if we do that, if we try to give up knowing what other people should do, and so we can see what they're actually experiencing, then maybe we can find out what we can do that's really aligned with values like, may all beings be happy. Do we want to live in a world where everyone is supported and cared about, and where everybody has an opportunity to be happy? If we do, then that's the world we kind of need to be creating. If we want to live in a world that's dominated by anger, well, then that's what we'll do. We'll create a world that's dominated by anger. But I don't think nobody listening to this call wants that, so I don't need to tell you that you need to act out of compassion and kindness, because you already know that. That's why you're here, right? The hard thing is to figure out how to be guided by our highest aspirations. So anyway, that's what I've been working with. Not knowing, bearing witness, then take action in that order. So I see some people have asked me some questions or said something that they want me to do. So let's see what that is. So yeah, I think it's more than audio issues, Jeff. I think that we've got an internet issue, and I think it is on my end. I think we've had some internet sort of coming and going the last 24 hours, and yeah, I don't think it's just you, Mandalore. I think it's this end. It might be the internet in general. I don't know. Yeah, Tracy, I totally understand. So for those of you who maybe aren't signed in, can't see the chat, Tracy says the anger, violence, and hate from the riots is really affecting me inside. And I get it. I mean, it's scary when you look at that. Sure, it is. So I'm going to stop not knowing for a minute and tell you one thing that maybe will be useful. We've seen these things before, and they don't last forever. The good side of that is that the violence and the hatred and everything doesn't continue. what we need to be careful of, I think, is that we don't go, oh, well, that's over, thank goodness, let's go on and forget that ever happened. I think um, we need to continue, if these things are important to us, we need to continue to work for them. The New York Zen Center for Contemplative Practice right now is doing a commit to sit thing. They do that every year, I think at the same time. I think it's around this time every year. And it's 90 days, so it basically gets you through the summer. And the idea is that you'll sit for however period of time you sit every day for 90 days. And so it's to get you in the habit of meditation. And it costs a little bit of money. I usually do it because I like a lot of the things that they do and I kind of want to support them. And also they send out some interesting things and there's Dharma talks you can hear and stuff. And, things that they're far enough away, I haven't heard everything they have to say already. So I like it. And kind of the theme right now is this idea that comes from a talk that Dogen gave, or an essay taken from a talk that Dogen gave about the idea of continuous practice. And we think of our practices, it's 7 o'clock Wednesday night, let me go practice Buddhism, right? But the idea is, no, that's when you develop some skills that then you put into practice the rest of the time. And so you're practicing continuously. So when we, one of the nice thing about impermanence is that these things will pass. So keep yourself safe. You almost definitely don't have anything to worry about, really. And these things will pass. The danger is that we forget about them, and we forget about the things that caused them, and we forget about the things that the protesters were protesting and all that, and then they happen again. And maybe a long time from now, but they come back. If we don't address the root causes, they're going to come back up. It's the same thing with our own anger. If we get mad and then we get over and we do something really stupid and horrible to somebody, and then we get over it and we go, oh, well, that's in the past. No, it's not. If you're carrying around the seeds of that stuff in your heart, and the idea that that kind of thing is okay, then you're going to do something horrible to somebody else again, right? So you got to get to the source of it. And the idea is that, that to get angry and then act out of anger and harm someone is okay. You got to get over that. And so as a society, we need to get over this too. We need to get over these ideas that oh, well, things have settled down, we can forget that now. And we're really bad about that as a society. This happens, think about over just the last few years. Something's terrible, it's the only thing that's in the news for a month. And then everybody's forgotten about it a month after that. So if this is important, we need to continuously practice with it. But yes, Jeff, watching the news too much is not helpful. We do need to protect our own minds. Self-care is important, and part of self-care is to go, okay, I know enough about what's going on now, I don't need to know anymore, right? And listen, I have to remind myself of this too, because I'll find myself compulsively looking at Google News to see, what terrible thing has happened since the last time I looked at Google News or whatever. You only need to know so much. You know what your values are, right? So protect those. You know how to take care of yourself, so do that. You can stay informed without compulsively continuing to watch the news. If you do too much of it, yeah, it'll drive you. You'll drive yourself nuts with it. Carol says, I suspect the lockdown has created some of the pent-up frustration that's now found an outlet. Trick as an observer is to not get pulled into the anger. And yeah, I'm sure, this is kind of the perfect storm. You've got a bunch of people who've been locked up, as in not locked inside with one another, locked into their homes or whatever, and they've got all of that frustration. And then there's fears about uh, economic uncertainty and worries about their health, and you know, possibly loved ones who've been sick and people that they've had to take care of, and you know, maybe grief is a part of this too. And all of these different intense emotions building up, and you know, and then all of a sudden there's this other thing to get mad about, and not just one other thing, but several other things. And then we have political leadership that just I don't even know what to say about them. That it basically declared war on, you know, America, right? By you know, making this into, you know, declaring martial law and curfews and tear gassing people and that kind of stuff. And it just like compounds. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And so, sure, it's not surprising that it's blowing up. So you're right. Try not to get sucked into the anger. You know, try to find a more appropriate outlet for yourself, or just continue to stay inside for a while, you know. But if these things are affecting you, look for skillful things that you can do that will really make a change. I haven't yet discovered what those things are for me. I mean, I'm, you know, talking to people about them, and I'm in a university and, you know, in a position to help shape minds of the future and all of that kind of stuff, which is great. But, you know, there's this urge to go out there and do something now. I want to fix it. I want to fix it now. Okay. And it's a longer term process than that, but there's probably things that you can do that are actually constructive that you could be doing now. Probably posting 37 tweets on Twitter about how bad the president is not going to be helpful. If there's a protest that looks peaceful and that you think you can do safely, that's probably not a bad idea. There was one in DeLand yesterday in the evening. I didn't go to it because I have Buddhist services with some Stetson students that were at the same time, and so I knew some of them were coming, so I didn't want to bail out on that. But I understand it went very well, it was peaceful and all of that. I don't know how helpful it is to demonstrate in downtown DeLand, but it's a chance to feel like you're getting out there and in unity with others, and so it can't hurt. Yeah. So the important thing is take care of yourself, and try to let go of these ideas that build up about what should happen and stuff, and just try to bear witness to what's going on, and then see if you can find a way to be a part of the solution. And so Dr. Apocalypse now says he can't politically protest because he's a National Guard soldier and not allowed to do that. But he's been signing petitions and sending emails and meditating. Stress is up. Dharma talks help. So, yeah. I'm sure that's stressful. I can't imagine that not being stressful, to be in that sort of position. Petitions are good. If you think about the way the Civil War, the American Civil Rights Movement is a really good example of how change really can happen, and nonviolent action is truly more effective probably than violent action. I mean, it's hard to say, But, you know, vote for somebody that you think will actually help this problem. You know, support those candidates that you think we're moving up to election day. Support the candidates you think will actually do something for the problem. If you got money to contribute, contribute it. If you've got a way that you can help people who are suffering, do it. You know, the more we are helpful to one another, the better a world we'll live in. And I don't know. You got to figure out how to allocate your resources, including your financial resources and your time and your attention. You know, all those things are limited quantities, right? So that's why I say I can't tell you what to do. You got to figure it out for yourself because you got your values and you've got your priorities. But you know, just be careful about getting caught up in the ones that really aren't priorities. You know, anger. I mean, I have gotten so mad. You know, but it's not particularly helpful to get mad. It's natural. I mean, if you didn't see some of these things that get angry, you're not human, right? But, you know, just don't hang on to it. Go ahead and let it go. And then figure out what you can do about the situation that you're angry about to make things better for others. And so to see these opportunities as opportunities to give. If you can do something kind, if you can change the world in a positive way, that's an act of kindness. You can't be kind and be mean at the same time. They really kind of cancel each other out. You know, you can't be compassionate to somebody while you're hitting them in the face, right? It just doesn't work. But if you can find ways that your action can be a gift to humanity, then I think that's useful. And when you know, if you look back, if you want to see examples of ways that that's worked in the past, look at Gandhi, look at Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, look at Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. You know, they were examples of nonviolence that actually ended up being effective. Well, quit chewing on yourself. Sorry, the dog gets really caught up in chewing on her feet once in a while. And the noise was bugging me, so I figured you could probably hear it. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful and I didn't just make matters worse. You know, I mean, as bad as this is, as frustrating as it is, as scary as it is, as anxiety-provoking as it is, this could end up being one of those things we look back on and go, this is the best thing that ever happened. Or one of the best things that ever happened. You know, if you look back at the civil rights movement, if you look back at various anti-war movements over the years and stuff, you know, they were scary, they were uncomfortable, they were sometimes tragic, but you know, they changed the world for the better. And the more of us there are who are being peaceful and yet constructive, then the quicker this will be over and the more definitively perhaps it'll be over, and the more we can move ahead in truly progressive ways and not just fighting fires. So I think somebody else asked a question. All right. So it's 8 o'clock, so we really should go ahead and close. Don't forget to Zoom Dharma study tomorrow at 6 p.m. And if you don't have the link to that and you want to come, email me and let me know. And you know, if you got questions you want to have a conversation about this, we can. We'll talk about a couple of verses of the Dhammapada, but there's always time for conversation afterwards. So please feel free to join us. We surround all beings with the light and warmth of our love and compassion. Particularly, we send loving thoughts to those in suffering and sorrow, to those who are ill, those who are grieving, to those who minister to the sick, and for all who are striving to right injustice. We send oceans of compassion to those grieving for loved ones lost due to violence and those suffering from oppression. May they be serene through all their troubles. May the infinite light of wisdom and compassion so shine within us that hatred finds no foothold in our hearts, and that our actions be guided only by our highest convictions. Three vows. See you again soon.